Yes, people, welcome back to another Avengers stream. We've got the boys joining us again for our massive show. We're going to be discussing all things Crystal Palace, the review of that game, obviously a massive win for City. And then the second half of the show, we're going to turn our attention to tomorrow night's big Champions League game. Obviously, City going into that game 1-1, have to win. Otherwise, we'll be dumped out of the competition. We all want to be in that draw on Friday for the quarterfinals of the Champions League. I am glad to say today I'm joined by Jason, JSGC, Martin from the Mancunian Way, Move from Noisy Neighbours podcast, Hugh from the 894, and Luke, MCFC lads. There we go. Hopefully you guys are doing well, man. Before we get into it, guys, make sure you drop a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel as well if you're new. The links of the guys are in the title. Martin, your channel name's well long, so it wouldn't let me put yours on. So I'll put Martin's in the description. But all you have to do is click on it and just subscribe to the boys, and let's get the City content.
I'll try and shorten it down for you.
Yeah, just change it to Martin. Just Martin. You know what I mean? I'm glad to have you guys with us, man. Let's talk about Crystal Palace then, because we're into that game. Obviously, we drew there last year 0-0. There was a little bit of, I believe, possible naivety going into the game. I've seen a lot of people talking about how bad their form was. But if you actually looked at the games that they played, the teams that they'd faced, and the results that they'd had, I don't actually think they've done that bad. I know no wins in the last 10 or whatever. Sounds really poor. It's not like they've been getting pumped 3 or 4-0. When they have been getting beat, they've been getting beat by a single goal. They're clearly, their main issue was scoring goals and no shots on target in 3 games now for Palace. So keeping a clean sheet was huge. But I thought it was going to be a difficult game. It was a difficult game. Jace, I'll start with you, mate. What did you make of the Palace game? Happy with the performance? Happy with the win?
Really good win. It's one of them that I've been calling into question over the last few weeks, that are Man City capable of winning 1-0, because there's been game after game after game where we've always felt that we need that killer second goal to kill teams off. I'm just going to refer back to the match that we had against Nottingham Forest, where we limited them to very little. They only ended up having 1 shot. It ended up being 1 shot on target and 1 goal. And I thought, hoping that this wasn't going to be the same type of game that was going to go down that route. And actually, Man City have answered my question that I've called upon the team. Can they 1-0 a game? Because sometimes you don't have to score 3-4 goals to win a game. Sometimes you just need to score 1. And if you're limiting your team, the teams that we're facing, to nothing, then you just need to score a goal. You win the game. You pick up the 3 points. Move on to the next game.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those ones. I think that it didn't matter. It didn't matter for me what the scoreline was once we got the 3 points. I really didn't care if the ball went off Haaland's arse into the back of the net or Ederson's arse in the back of the net. Once, like, it's one of those tricky places, Selhurst Park. You know, so many teams go there every season and end up looking like a shell of themselves. I don't know what is it. Is it because the stadium itself is a bit run down? I mean, Luke, I saw you in the away end. It's not the most impressive away end I've ever seen in my life, but it would just go there, get the 3 points, and get the hell out of there and start working towards that Champions League game tomorrow night.
Yeah,
it's one of them.
Go on.
Go on, Luke.
I was just going to say, Hugh spoke to me before the game, and he said it was a good point. This was our last league game before April, actually. And obviously that one's going to be Liverpool at home. So it was just crucial. If we drop any points in that game, we're just going to start crumbling, and then Arsenal are going to take a 7-point lead the next day and so on. So it was just crucial. We get those 3 points in the bag and we move on now. We got other competitions, etc. to focus on. But yeah, the 3 points there was big, yeah.
It's like one of them cold, wet Tuesday night games. You know, when we used to always go, can you do it on a cold, wet Tuesday in Stoke?
Yeah.
That's what I always think Crystal Palace is. Because for me, last season, we drew there.
Yeah.
So to go there and get a clean sheet and get a point, we're in the stage of a season where performances are a bit more second, they're behind, more bothered about the 3 points. Clean sheet again. It was a massive, massive win.
Yeah. Mulv?
Yeah, defensively almost flawless. I think outside of that one towards the end where the ball went across the face of our goal, I think all our hearts stopped. Outside of that, absolutely amazing. I think the performance and the result matched the 11 that he put out. They put out, no fullbacks. Defensively, super solid, but up front, questions about creativity, I think, and I think that's what we got. I think we were, again, almost flawless for the first, would you say, 4/5 of the pitch. It was that final fifth of the pitch where we were bobbins, and we scraped a 1-0. But it's a different way to win, like Jason said, and I'll take it. It's a massive 3 points.
Yeah, and you know what? I agree, Martin. And in fact, I said this the other day. When you performances, you kind of want your nice performances at the start of the season or in the middle part of the season. When you get to this part of the season, and I was sort of, when I said it was sort of after this international break, but basically we're close enough now anyways. It's the last game before the international break. You're right. Performances kind of, I mean, we'd all like to see mega performances, don't get me wrong. But how many times have all 6 of us watched City play absolutely mega and not win the game? So, you can, yeah, okay, we want to see them playing sick football, but the number one thing is, and I guess you could say any time of the season, this is the number one thing, but I guess at this point of the season, it's more important, is just get the 3 points. No one cares about how you do it. I've seen a couple of Arsenal fans coming in our watch along, saying, oh, imagine you needing a penalty to beat Palace. And I just thought, lads, you're going to understand. You're going to understand, mate, that this is what you take what you can get when you're in a title race. You do. You really, really do. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one, Martin, mate. I don't really care about the performance that much. I'm not completely disregarding it. It's still an important thing, but the result is by far the most.
What was big as well? I think resting a few players. For example, De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Everyone had said some of his performances a little bit sloppy. He wasn't quite at his best. And I just noticed JSGC chuckling there because there was comparisons to him in some of the other games. And yeah, just to kind of see him on the bench and rested kind of gives me a little bit more confidence ahead of the game, obviously tomorrow and so on. That he'll have a little bit more energy going forward, and he'll be on his best game then.
Yeah.
Do you know what, Luke? I'm just going to chip in. I thought De Bruyne, when he came on off the bench, actually looked sharper than what I've seen of him over the last few weeks, which is very encouraging.
I agree.
I think it was the best thing for Kevin De Bruyne because every week you had not so much City fans. Like we were talking about, is he playing his best? And we're questioning as to maybe why he's not looking his best. But you had rival fans and pundits all over the world saying, oh, De Bruyne has fallen off. He slowed down. He doesn't look his best. So the best thing probably to do in this situation is what Pep did. Take him out of the spotlight for a day. Take him out of the firing line for a day. Let him get himself back together. Give him the last 10, 15 minutes and show what he can do. He did fine, like you said. And that's probably what he needed. It's probably going to help him towards that end of the season. Just take him out a little bit. Let him rest and work towards the game tomorrow, which I think he'll start. I think you'll see a lot of different faces tomorrow. And I know we'll get into that, though.
Yeah, I think he gambled, Pep Guardiola. I genuinely do. I think he gambled. I think the Kyle Walker thing as well. I know obviously Kyle Walker's been involved in some pretty interesting antics over the last week or so. And that may have been one of the reasons why he got dropped. But for me, I think it could have easily been tactical as well. And I think he's gambled big time in that Palace game. And I think he's looked at the team and thought, Palace are not scoring goals. And this is what I've been saying over the last couple of games with the defence, with Ruben Dias in that defence and Nathan Ake at left back. I'm backing every game that a team isn't going to score more than one goal against us. Now, not necessarily apply that to Leipzig. I'm talking Premier League games. So I think Pep Guardiola's basically saying to his front players, score me 2 goals and the defence will protect you and get us the win. Because Newcastle, I was confident we'd get a clean sheet. Palace, I thought we'd get a clean sheet. Because the defence with Ruben Dias in it and Nathan Ake, I just don't think this team's going to concede goals. And even if they do concede goals, I think it's probably going to be like a single goal. And that's why I think he's just saying to the forward players, get me 2 goals a game. I think we'll win. And that's where we've been unlucky a lot this season. Everton only scored 1 goal. Aston Villa only scored a single goal. Notts Forest only scored a single goal. And in them games, I think that's where the front players have sort of maybe let them down a little bit because they've not been creative enough. If the front players can start getting a few more chances and putting the ball in the back of the net, with Ruben Dias and Nathan Ake, the form that them two are in, we'll go on a mega run.
Yeah, it was also about...
Go on, anyone? Who? What are you saying?
Go for it, Hugh.
I was just going to say, I think it was probably a combination of a few things as to why John Stones played at right back. I think maybe first and foremost was giving Kyle Walker a bit of a slap in the wrist saying, listen, you behaved badly last week. This is your punishment. Don't do it again sort of thing. The next thing was, what you were saying, we can take slightly more risks with the full back positions because you really do trust Ruben Dias. And I'm with you that as long as Ruben Dias is on form and he's looking like the Ruben Dias that we know and love, I'm in the same as you. I back us to concede very few goals. And the third one was get some much needed minutes into John Stones' legs. John Stones needs those minutes. He's going to be huge for us in both Champions League, FA Cup, and Premier League over the next 2 months. So getting him what we can right now was absolutely huge as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, completely agree. I wanted to speak a little bit about Nathan Ake again because I think we spoke about it a little bit at the end of the last stream, but I got to give this guy flowers, man. I really do, bro, because I put a tweet out there, right? And, I got cuts from a few fans, not City fans. I think this season in the Premier League, I think he's been the best centre-back this season in the Premier League, man. Consistently over the course of the season, I think he's been the best defender because he's not always played centre-back, to be fair. But he is he's just a rock right now. And he's improving on the ball. He's improving every time he seems to play. You know what I mean? Some of his passes, the goal that Haaland didn't score, the one that he blazed over the bar, that was Nathan Ake. Simple passing to Haaland. Haaland should have put in the back of the net. He's getting better and better. Defensively doesn't make any mistakes. And he seems to be improving on the ball. People talk about £100 million Gvardiol. This guy's going to find it difficult to get in the team if Ake continues to play in the way he is. Lads, I'll come to you, bro.
Yeah, I was just going to say on that, I'd say his first season or so, he had an injury. He looked a little bit wooden at times at the back, and we couldn't really trust him in the big games because it was a big step up to go from a relegation side, Bournemouth, straight into City, a team competing for every trophy, basically. It was a little bit difficult for him, but I feel like he's really settled in. You speak to anyone around the club, anyone that's worked with the club, he says he's like the most humble guy you'll ever meet. And so, and I think that attitude he's got, he's just sort of given it a bit of time. We heard a few rumours in the summer, Newcastle was sniffing around, Chelsea might want him back. And I think he's just taken his time, sat back, and he's gradually improved those performances. And like you said, he's not got any mistakes in him as it stands,
Yeah, brilliant performances. It'd be interesting to see how he develops his on-the-ball game because he has developed it this season. How much better can he get? But yeah, the defense right now. The defense is. I have trust in this defense. I don't know what you guys think. Did you all trust this defense? Because I gotta say, a couple of months ago, I didn't trust anyone in the team the way that we were playing. But the defense didn't trust the defense. We was playing like an inverted thing that we still kind of do now, but. I just feel like the defence right now, I can put my trust in. I'm going into games thinking, you know what, we're not going to concede a goal. Is that all down to Ruben Dias, or does anyone here think that there's something else?
I think Dias is a massive part of it. Dias does, when you're sitting there watching it, you do feel a lot more reassured having, Ruben Dias just stood there like the monster that he is. But back onto for Nathan Ake, I think you look at last season to come away from a point when I think was it last season he lost his father, sadly.
Yeah,
it was the RB Leipzig game. He scored it. To come back from that, to show the maturity and everything that he's shown, to me, him and Diaz, they're undroppable right now. Those two, I look at it and I think that's solid. That is solid.
Martin,
and it doesn't worry me at all.
Yeah. What you
Spot
say,
on
Jace?
there, Martin. I said Martin spot on there. Because of how good Diaz and Ake have been, we're seeing for the first part of this season, we're seeing a very settled defensive line from City. So we're not seeing chopping and changing. We're not seeing rotation as much at the back. It just looks very settled. It seems so much of an Akanji, Diaz and Ake, and that's what we're happy to go with. And because of that, I think they're just starting to develop a really nice little bond between themselves, that they've all got a really good understanding, which it's developing some problems in the squad with the likes of Laporte. They're struggling to get into the team because of how good this defence is being, which is great for the team and it's great for us as fans to watch. It will have problems when it comes to the squad towards the end of the season, but we've got so many games coming up. If we can progress against Leipzig, there's going to be plenty of minutes there. And when these players like Laporte come into the team, they really do need to grab the opportunity with both hands, because if they don't, I can see some of them potentially leaving in the summer. And Lewis, you were spot on before with Gvardiol saying 100 million euros to bring him in. Right now, with how good Ake's been, how did he get into the team?
Ake's been, for me, and I'm not just having my City hat on here, I think he's been the most consistent defender in the Premier League this season. All the spotlight has been on the Butcher, Martinez, Varane, Saliba, and Gabriel. They've all had disasters at some stage this season. Every single one of them have. Can you guys name me one absolute disaster Nathan Ake has had this season? I could be wrong. There might be, but I can't remember. They don't stand out to me. I can't remember a single game where I've walked away from and said, "Yeah, Jesus, Ake wasn't great today. You know, he wasn't at the level we need." We're not second in this league without Nathan Ake this season, and that's just fact. I'm telling you that right now. We are not where we are without Nathan Ake. So if we do go on to win this league, we owe him a huge, huge amount of credit. And Ruben Dias coming back, he is the catalyst to making the whole defense solid now. Nathan Ake's performances himself have been great this season, but Diaz is the catalyst to making the whole defense and midfield tick properly now. Yeah. So we're in a good position.
Yeah,
look,
go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say on the Diaz thing, I just love this. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of pre-match huddles, to be honest with you. It's one of my superstitions. I don't like them at all. But I love the way that when we do get in the huddle, Ruben Dias, mate, even though he's not the captain, that's 2 times in a row now I've seen him on the TV in the pre-match huddles, giving it to the players before the game starts. He's captain material. He's a proper smart guy. You know, clearly he's got his head screwed on. And yeah, he's made a massive, massive difference. And I know we spoke about this on previous shows, right? But I think that decision from Pep Guardiola just to hold him back a couple of weeks extra when he come back, I think now you're starting to see that was probably a smart move. Now, I'm not saying that he wouldn't be playing this well if he didn't throw him back in, but he might have got the injury again, you know what I mean? Because it was a hamstring injury, a bad hamstring injury that he had. He's let that hamstring completely heal, and now look at him. Absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, it's the defence, man. The defence is super impressive.
Did you lads see the video that came out of the boys giving each other awards?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see Haaland and Grealish?
Ruben
Diaz an award for no return on investment in the gym, basically. My question is, do you think they would have ever awarded that to Vincent Kompany when he was here? Okay, no chance. I'm afraid they don't respect Ruben Dias. Is my issue. Now I see what he's doing. I do think he's having a massive effect on the team, but the shouting at him and all that, I'm not so sure he's got what Vincent Kompany had.
The thing is with that video though, LB, you know the video. I think you cut. Obviously, it's a very out of context clip, but there might be an inside joke that because he's in there so much, he's in the gym. If you look at the guy's body, there's no doubt that he's obviously doing a lot in the gym. It might be almost like an ironic thing teasing him a little bit.
They're calling it banter and that, but you would never banter Vincent Kompany like that.
But I have a theory on this. I think there's a part because of Vincent Kompany, that the figure he was in the dressing room, people really looked up to him. He was like the main man in the dressing room. Everyone looked to him. Whereas we have a few leaders in this dressing room. This dressing room probably feels like more of a unity than previous dressing rooms. Kompany was a leader of loads of men, whereas we have loads of leaders in this team now. So I think they have more of a relationship where they can banter each other, but also respectfully respect each other's roles in the team. It's just a different dynamic, I think, to previous dressing rooms.
I agree. I think it's a completely different dynamic, and you see the way that they act with Bernardo Silva. But I think one of the key things with this team is I think there's loads of banter off the pitch, and I think there's probably more banter with this team than the 2012 team. But one thing that hasn't changed between the 2012 team and this team that we have today is that once they cross that white line and they go onto that football pitch, all banter goes aside, and they are 100% focused on the job in hand. So for me, it might be a slightly different dynamic, but I still think that Ruben Dias, when he was on that football pitch, and I think when they're in training, I think when they're being serious, I think that they all respect him.
One more thing about the defense. I agree with all the lads that Ake and Diaz absolutely massive, but I don't know if you saw yesterday, particularly what was happening in front of them with the counter press was off the charts good. Unbelievable. Rodri in particular, both the eights coming back to win the ball after we lost it, and neutralizing any counterattacks. So as good as the back four were, particularly Ake and Diaz, as good as they've been, yesterday in particular, the counter pressing was off the charts. Amazing.
Yeah, no, it's good performance,
and that helps them. My point is that it really helps them.
Yeah, sure. Anyone got anything else on the panel? You guys want to talk about anything else about Crystal Palace before we move on to Leipzig? Anyone? No? Cool. Right, we'll move on.
Yeah.
Go on, Muff.
Sorry. I don't think we can play that 11 again unless we're trying to get a very, very tight margin result. It just wasn't enough creativity up front.
I agree.
Like I said, when we got to that very last bit of the pitch, it was awful. There's the only player in that side who's consistently creative enough is Phil Foden.
I agree.
Ilkay and Bernardo can be creative, they're just not consistently creative. So I just think it was missing one, probably Kevin. Just one more player to twist it to a more creative side than it was, and I think we would have been better off.
I agree there, but I think part of it, obviously, I agree, the creativity were lacking, but it was kind of like, it was made worse a little bit by the fact that they had like 500 bodies on the line. Every time they had a shot, every time we tried to play a pass.
And Phil wasn't top, was he? Phil was off a bit.
He was off a bit. One of the problems that you have, obviously, is that without Kevin De Bruyne, we are lacking that vocal point. We're lacking that vocal point of someone who can create. Bernardo Silva, I maintain to this day, is probably out of Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, and Bernardo Silva. He's probably the worst at creating chances. I think Gundogan's better at creating chances, and I think so is Kevin De Bruyne. He was drifting out to the wings a lot, and Gundogan was playing in a weird position sometimes. Sometimes he was dropping deep quite a lot as well. That's why, if you look at the stats, Rodri dribbled the ball quite a lot forward, quite a lot. Usually he just picks up the ball and passes the ball, whereas Rodri in that game was carrying the ball forward, a bit like Yaya Toure used to do, and then trying to play passes because there was nobody there. But I think it's one of them more. I agree with what you're saying, but I think Pep probably understood that and knew that was a risk, but he thought, I'm going to gamble it. I'm going to gamble. And at the end of the game, if we draw 0-0, we'll all sit here and say, backfired, didn't it? But I think you look at it and go, you know what? He got Kevin De Bruyne a big rest, and now look at it. We're now.
He learned that though, didn't he? Because that's why obviously Alvarez came on, Foden went off, Bernardo went off, and he did change it. He did change it, and we looked a little bit more dynamic with Julian Alvarez on there. 100%. I thought we did. I think it was just more of one of them. Don't want to call it dogs of war attitude, but just get the result. Because remember, last season went there and had what, 33, 34
we battered them last year,
chances.
Martin.
And absolutely come away going, if we only had a striker.
Yeah.
If Palace set up with 18, with 11 men on the edge of their 18-yard box, anybody's going to struggle to break them down. Anybody is. But you just have to keep going and keep trying different avenues. And whether you like it or not, people who criticize our performances in these title races, we know this. You make your own luck. And that's what we did. We got that little bit of luck for our perseverance. And Gundogan, he's an experienced player. He used experience, and he won us a penalty. And we walk away with 3 points. I'm exactly with Martin. Same boat. Get the hell in. Take your 3 points and get the hell out. I don't care how the performance went. We'll assess that if it becomes a consistent problem. But that one-off game, I'll take my 3 points and leave.
Agreed.
What might be really interesting is next weekend, whilst we're in the FA Cup against Burnley, Arsenal's got Crystal Palace at the Emirates Stadium. They sat deep at Selhurst Park. They're going to sit even deeper. And if they can keep Arsenal at bay for 45 minutes, they might be able to just shithouse a result at the Emirates as well. So it's a really niggly match that we've managed to battle away and come away with an important 3 points. And I wouldn't rule out them potentially doing something next week in North London.
Yeah, big shout. Right, cool. We're going to turn our attention now to the Leipzig games. Got a couple super chats coming in, but guys, first of all, make sure you've dropped a like on the stream. Let's get those likes past 300 people. We're on 650 people in the stream right now. Let's get those likes past 300. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Go check out the panel's channels. I put the links in the title and in the description as well. All you have to do is click on it and then click subscribe in it and help these guys grow their respective channels as well. Big up Dr. Footy with a 14 says, I beg Kev gives us one more Champions League, Champions League Prem title push. Oh, like okay, yeah. Oh, hopefully, innit? You know what I mean? That's the aim of the game. Stephen says, coming over from Wicklow.
Big up Wicklow, man.
Oh, is that in Ireland?
Yeah. Next to Dublin.
Big up Stephen, man. Enjoy the game.
Irish Blues are taking over, man.
Yeah, what's he doing? Going on? He's got St. Patrick's Day on Friday, isn't it? I'm saying.
Yeah, listen, what a way to spend your St. Patrick's weekend, watching the Blues, Vincent Kompany's return. I back it.
True, man. Slam a few Guinness me on Friday night. That's start with fun. Professional Pilot with a 10 says, if we really want to go on a winning streak, we need to sort out our midfield. KDB needs to be on top form, and everyone else needs to connect with our forwards. Our defence and forwards are basically set. And that's Move pointing at the super chat, but that's basically what Move says as well. We've also got a member chat from Neil, a member for 30 months, says Aguero and Silva bantered company, JSGC fanboy. That's Neil, sir. A JSGC fan there, I think, or is it, Jace? What's going on here?
That's all of us.
And then we've got a huge donation, man, from HSK coming in with a 300. He says, hi, everyone from HSK. So, yes, HSK, thank you for the donation, bro. Hopefully you're doing well. It just says, hi, everyone.
That's 50 each.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking Lewis is counting the money right now.
Quick maths, 60 each.
Money guns going.
I'm just thinking about Jay sending himself his own messages on here. Keep looking at the side, typing away.
I think that was all intended for JSGC. I don't know. You might have to talk about the donation to let us know.
You've got my bank details, bro.
Check the notes. Check the notes.
Is Neil Jace? Is that you, Jason? Neil Sinner? Is that you, bro? Is that your
Mate,
second
I've got
account?
many accounts, but I've not got that much time on my hands, I'm afraid.
He's been doing his KDB lookalike thing. That's what he's getting paid for.
Big up Professional Pilot as well for 15 gifted memberships. They've gone out to random people in the chat. The more active you are in the chat, guys, the more chance you've got of getting a random membership, and that's been donated there from Professional Pilot with the 15. So thank you very much to Professional Pilot, and guys, get yourself active in the chat. You get a chance of getting one. And then finally, Dave Rocky with a 10 says, Man City have never went on to qualify for the next round of the Champions League after not winning the first leg of any round except once in PSG 2016, and when we drew 2-2 in the first leg, 1-0 second leg, confident. Okay.
Sarcasm.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's Dave Rocky, isn't it? That's Dave Rocky. There's a regular view of the channel. Big game coming up then tomorrow, man. RB Leipzig only lost twice out of the last, 20 games, something like that. I mean, there was a lot. I couldn't be asked counting. There was a lot. But a solid team that can be beat. You know what I mean? They got beat at 2-1 against Dortmund 2 weeks ago. How are we feeling going into this one, man? Move, how are you feeling going into this game, pal?
Nervous, man. Nervous. They're a good side. We're playing all right, but we're not. I wouldn't say we're in top form, you know. But we're at home. Yeah, just nervous. I was trying to think early before I came on the stream like who I would play, and it was difficult, even just getting through the back, who the back four might be. I'm interested to hear what the lads think.
I think you'll see quite a few changes. I think you could possibly see Laporte come back in. I think you could see. I think there's a very good chance. I put money on Riyad Mahrez coming back in, but I'm nervous as well. But I have to back the team in this one because we're playing at home and it's a tie. Obviously, Leipzig are going to have to come out. Leipzig need to score, to get through, which is going to play into our hands somewhat. So if we can capitalize on that and just be efficient, I think we should be all right. But I'm not going to show any disrespect to Leipzig because they have done very well this season and they've got players that can punish too. But it's going to be an interesting one.
I think it's the perfect opponent for us tomorrow. I'm probably a bit more opposite. I'm quite confident only because I know they're not going to come back and play a flat back nine. They're going to come and actually play football, which actually will help us.
Do you think so? Do you think they will do that though, Martin?
Yeah, I think they did. They did it last. That's why it ended up, 6-3?
Yeah, well, why couldn't they just come to the Etihad tomorrow and just sit back on the edge of the penalty area and try and get us on the counter-attack?
Don't think it's in their game because I've watched them a few times.
They play in the front foot. They play very much on the front foot. They like
it's really not their style. No,
but my point on that though, Martin, we scored 6 against them last season and we scored 1 against them away from home. So why wouldn't they just go...
I don't think they wanted the game over in the first leg. That's the fear. They saw City go to Sporting last year, and it was 4-0 half time, ended 5-0, and the game was over. They came and drew 0-0. The second game was just a dead rubber. It was pointless. Like they were never going to score 6 goals. So I think they just want to get to the second leg. They want to be in a tie, even if they'd lost 2-3-1, something like that in the first leg. They're still in a game there, and they can maybe come on the front foot in the second leg at the Etihad and maybe try and take something out. But 1-1, I think they're buzzing with that, and I think second leg they will be a little bit more kind of attacking, I'd say, yeah.
It's an interesting one, this one, I think. There's part of me that thinks they might take a little bit of confidence away from last season, that even though they lost 6-3, they came to the Etihad and they did score 3 goals. On the other hand, I think they'll have a good look at what happened in Germany and they'll have a good look at their second half performance. And they'll be thinking, instead of sitting a little bit deeper, which was inviting pressure, it was allowing City to dominate the ball, they'll be thinking, push our defence 5-10 yards further forward. It's going to give us space, which is where I think De Bruyne is going to play a very key part for us tomorrow night. But it's going to allow them some opportunities to be able to create some. So I think this is going to be a very open game. I'd be very, very surprised if they're just going to sit and camp out with everybody behind the ball. Very surprised. It's not normally how teams manage themselves in Germany. It's not normally how a team manages in the Champions League. It tends to be, this is our style of play. We're going to play like this. And if we get beat 6-0, we'll live by how we play and we will die by how we play. So I think it'll be a pretty open game tomorrow. I think there'll be goals. I'm just hoping City will be able to come out on top. Hopefully we'll be clinical in front of goal, which is obviously going to be the most important factor when deciding who goes through.
Yeah. Hugh, move.
I'm just wondering who the front three are going to be, because I'm seeing loads of shouts for Mahrez. Hugh mentioned Mahrez earlier. For me, that looks like Foden's probably going to miss out, yeah?
Yeah,
well,
I think so.
I mean, this is a tricky thing because Foden's been really, really good since he sorted his injury out. Okay, it wasn't great against Crystal Palace, but it wasn't like he was it previously, like a couple of months ago, where he just wasn't doing anything. Where I was more frustrated at them performances than I was at Crystal Palace. I'm all for my attacking players losing the ball. Kevin De Bruyne's got one of the worst pass accuracies in our whole team. Why? Because he actually tries stuff. If my winger comes out the game with a 90% pass accuracy, that tells me that they probably did fuck all and they just passed the ball back to the fullback or to the midfielder. So yes, Phil Foden didn't play well, but he was trying to make things happen. Having said that, Riyad Mahrez is in actually really good form. If you look at Riyad Mahrez's form, when he's started games in the last couple of months, he's been in really, really good form. I think he got like 6 goal involvements in 5 games in the Premier in his last 5 Premier League starts or something like that. Like some mad stats. And we all know what he's like in the Champions League. In games like this, you know, you go for a rough period like we did in the away game. We went through a 20, 30-minute period in the second half where we got absolutely battered. you kind of want players on the ball who are able to keep the ball and hold the ball. So that's your Grealish and that's your Mahrez. Now, I know some people don't like that combination, but that's the truth. Now, the difference here is we're at home and it's 1-1. So if we was going away to Leipzig and we say we won 1-0, for me, I'd be going Grealish, Mahrez all day long. But there's just something in my head, and I'm like, ooh, how can I get Phil Foden into this team? But I don't know. Do we just go Grealish?
I honestly feel Grealish might not start, and it sounds weird because he has been our best player recently. But we saw that game. Obviously, last season he wasn't quite on the same form as this season. But in knockout football, especially for England as well, he is a really good impact off the bench. We saw it against Atletico in that game. We won 1-0, and I believe he came off the bench and he won like an ungodly amount of fouls. He just rattles the other team, and if we can get a 1 or 2 goal lead or whatever, and you bring him off the bench, it's a nightmare because he's just going to be taking men on. He's going to be winning fouls, and he just really gets in their heads. And I think he's played a lot recently, and no player's exempt of being rotated out, except for maybe a couple of those defenders we mentioned before. So I genuinely feel like we could start the game with a front three of Haaland, Foden, and Mahrez. Don't know what anyone else thinks.
It's a weird one. It's like you said, LB. It depends what Leipzig come and do. Because if Leipzig come and do what they did last year and we end up at end-to-end, you want a Grealish there to calm it down, control the whole thing and stop it all. Yeah. One thing Pep will not want is an end-to-end basketball game. He ain't going to want that. He's going to want someone to put his foot on, slow it. I've no problem with Grealish, but I'm not sure if I wouldn't mind a bit of Haaland Alvarez even to throw that into the mix.
Yeah.
I know that's harsh on Mahrez, but we've got the FA Cup game to play a Mahrez. No disrespect to Burnley, but you know what I mean? It's a weird one. It is a weird one because some people.
So what are you saying, Martin? You play Alvarez right wing, would you?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else on the panel would go with that?
I don't know about Grealish. I don't know if he plays. It's a weird one.
You don't think he plays?
I think this is one of the most difficult teams to try and predict all season. Honestly, it's knockout football, as we've said. It's a difficult one. We don't know how they're going to play. A lot of the time, their team's rocking up to park the bus, or they're going to come and attack you, which is pretty rare. But with this one, we genuinely don't know how they're going to play, and it's a weird one. It's hard to predict.
You haven't got Nkunku, which is massive for us.
Yeah, he's not playing. Is that true? He's out. Oh, wow. So
effectively, they've scored no goals last year then at our place. If he's not playing, we'll have a 6-0.
I don't know. I think they're just taking the scoreline straight down, 6-0.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I look at it and go, I do agree. I think it's a really, really tricky team to predict. And it just depends on what you do. You could go Grealish, Foden, and that's Foden, Mahrez, and that's your most prolific front three in terms of goals, assists with Haaland. That's your best front three. Or do you go Grealish, Mahrez for more control, and then just try and, like Martin was saying, control the game, keep it nice and tight, keep it nice and slow, and eventually, because the kind of thing that I'm thinking of, right, at some point in the 90 minutes, it's highly likely that Erling Haaland's probably going to get 1 or 2 chances, regardless of who plays, whether it's Alvarez, Foden, Mahrez, Grealish. He's probably going to get, because Kevin De Bruyne's playing as well, he's probably going to get a chance or 2 chances. So could Pep Guardiola look at it and go, why do I play Foden? Why don't I just go Mahrez, Grealish? I know Luke's saying you don't think Grealish will play. Keep it nice and tight, hold the ball, don't open ourselves up and make it a basketball game. And at some point in the game, back that in 90 minutes worth of football, Kevin De Bruyne can create 1 chance for Erling Haaland, and 9 times out of 10 he'll put the ball in the back of the net. Or do you try and open up a little bit more, drop Grealish, put Foden in? You know what I mean? Or I'll play Alvarez or whatever, or maybe open up ever so slightly. But do you really want to do that? Want to do that against Leipzig? I think they kind of like that.
Can you read anything into the subs yesterday? Foden came out quite early, and then Bernardo came off relatively early. Can you read anything into that in terms of tomorrow?
Not for me.
No.
Sometimes you can. Yeah, who knows? It could be one, but
not for me, man. Personally, because the reason I say that, more is that Foden came off because he was poor. I thought Bernardo Silva, I called that in the watch along. I said he needs to bring Kevin De Bruyne on for Bernardo Silva because Bernardo Silva wasn't really having much of an impact on the game. So
I think with the subs as well. I think with the subs, if you're winning 6-0, you can read into it a lot. You're going to see a few people come off. I think I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure some of the subs were before we scored the goal as well. So I don't know where at that point you're just trying to impact the game and score, aren't you? So
yeah. The Alvarez
it's the midfield that intrigues me tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's next to Rodri? Like, where do they come from? Do they come from
putting
the
Rodri,
8, or do they
KDB
come
in.
from one of the fullbacks?
Yeah, it's who's goals with KDB and Rodri.
Well, let's go through the team. Let's go through the team then, because that's probably a good. Because to do that, we're going to have to start with the defense anyway. Now, for me, honestly, the back line picks itself for me. Well, it picks it. I know this ain't going to happen. For me, it would be, in my own opinion, it would be Ake, Stones, Diaz, Walker. But it's probably going to be, in my view, Ake, Akanji, Diaz, Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with that. There's no way I'd be playing John Stones right back. There's no way I'd be playing Rico Lewis right back. I just lock it off. I lock it off and I play. That is such a defensive back four. And again, I go into the game, I'm playing that defensive four. And I'm thinking to myself, it's unlikely with that defensive four, in my view, that Leipzig will score more than a goal. So then again, I just say, can my midfield and my attacking players score more than one? What would your guys' defense be? Mulv's shaking his head. Mulv, you disagree, bro.
I suspect Bernardo's going to be that left back midfielder thing. I think he's going to be next to Rodri, and the other three will be Ake, Diaz, and one of Walker or Stones.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out who helps Rodri in the midfield, because he likes to do that box midfield thing.
Yeah.
So either one of the fullbacks or one of the 8s drops down to help, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's going to want to play both Gundogan and Bernardo. So for me, to get Bernardo in the side from that perspective, you have to play him left back and have him help Rodri.
Yeah. Is that what you do though? Or is that just your prediction?
Well, come back to me as you guys. I know you've all agreed on the back four. As you start thinking about the midfield and the forwards, you might come back to my idea. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, guys, what would you do, Jace? What would you do, mate, on a defense?
I think I'd be going with Timo Werner's pace. I think Kyle Walker gets the nod for me ahead of John Stones. So I'd be putting Kyle Walker on the right-hand side. And as was mentioned before, a settled back three from City. So I'd be going Akanji, right side of defence, Ake on the left side of defence, and Diaz going through the middle would be mine.
Hugh, what do you do, lad?
I just have a funny feeling Laporte's going to play. I think Pep's going to try and control the game for as long as possible, at least up until the second half. If it's still goalless or it's still a tie or Leipzig is still in the game, when it's going to get more frantic in the second half. Laporte's probably one of the best for doing that, ball control and distribution, that kind of thing. And we haven't seen a huge amount of him recently. I just wonder, has he been building up to play him in this Champions League game? I just have a feeling that that's just a hunch.
Okay. I mean, I'm looking at his minutes. He hardly plays any minutes at all, does he? I mean, he played 45 minutes against Arsenal in the FA Cup back in 27th of January. He didn't play against Palace, didn't play against Newcastle, didn't play against Bournemouth. Last time we saw him was at 90 minutes against Forest. Didn't play the Arsenal game before that. Played 90 minutes against Villa, but that's back in the 12th of February. He's played 180 minutes worth of football, I think, in the last month. Big fucking game to throw him back into, that, isn't it? Not me, but I mean, I could
7 starts, in the Premier League.
Yeah, and that's why he's going at the end of the year, isn't it? You know what I mean? There ain't no way that guy's staying. So you drop a who? You drop a Kanji, Hugh.
I wouldn't drop Akanji. I'm just saying, I think I would go with the back four that you went with, but I think he's going to play Laporte. I don't know. You come back to the stream and get in the comments and give me grief if I'm wrong, but I just have a feeling. Like, the thing is, we have such a difficult job here as City fans trying to predict the lineup that Pep Guardiola is going to make.
I know.
No one has a fucking clue. Like, do you see all the combinations we're coming up with here? Nobody has any real idea. There's no consistency.
Yeah, crazy. Luke, you got any idea?
I'd agree with your back four, to be fair. I'm thinking Ake, Walker. I think that's pretty solid fullbacks, and then I think Diaz, and then to be fair, I'd want to see Stones, but I think it probably will be Akanji. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. I agree. So okay. So there's a few of us that agree on that. Now let's go back to Mulv's point then, in terms of who, because obviously we've seen Kyle Walker invert a few times this season. I'm pretty sure, Mulv's given it the thumbs down. I'm pretty sure we all on this panel agree that's not something that we really want to see. And for me, the reason I'm playing that back four is to be solid, not because I want someone to invert. So who sits next to Rodri? Do we play a Gundogan and say, okay, you sit next to Rodri, have you two as a sort of double pivot, give Kevin De Bruyne a free role, but then you kind of seen that happen a little bit in the game at United when we got beat 2-1 in that it was, I know we played Cancelo left back that day, but Bernardo Silva dropped deep and then Kevin De Bruyne was completely isolated. So how if we do play this sort of solid back four, who sits next? What would be the midfield? Because for me, I think I probably would play Gundogan, Rodri, and Kevin De Bruyne. That would be what I would do. But then are you not isolating Kevin De Bruyne a little bit?
You're asking a lot of Kevin.
Yeah.
To do that. That's my only sort of. Again, we're back to the control situation. If he wants to control, that's the midfield. Gundo, Kevin, Rodri. But I look at it and I think, going back to my Alvarez thing, I'm desperate to see Alvarez get into this 11 because I think he just gives us something so much different and electrifies us so much.
And that turn he had against Palace, that that little touch.
And I know he missed it, but I'm just, I just want to see it. Yeah, but I do genuinely think, I'm with you, I think he's going to go back to type and do Gundo, Rodri, KDB.
Yeah, and then you can bring Bernardo on when the game opens up a bit in the second half, if needs be. I think the first half, at least, will be all about control. Do not give Leipzig any opportunity to gain some momentum or get a front foot in the game. Keep it all City. Keep it all City. And then when they start to push men forward in the second half and it all opens up and gets a bit more chaotic, that's when you look at the likes of Phil Foden, Alvarez, and Bernardo Silva.
Because that's how we expect the game to go, right? We expect that Leipzig will probably sit in a little bit deeper in the first half and say, let's get to half time, make sure we're still in the game, and then in the final 45 minutes, we're still in the game, then we'll start to open up a little bit. Because they don't, I just doubt that they're going to come and from their off just full send it. I think they'll try and, you don't do that in European games when you go away from home. You find your way into the game. You deal with the pressure that's on you. You're under the lights. It's a nighttime game. You're fucking pissing it down. Let's get to half time. Get through, and that's what we do when we go to places like Palace and places where the atmosphere can be quite decent. You don't just full send it. You work your way into the game a little bit, and then once you start getting a bit of a feel for the game, then you start relaxing, opening up a little bit, and start pushing the ball forward. And I think that's kind of how I expect Leipzig to do. I think the first half could be pretty dull, but I think we just got to keep it pretty tight. Move.
Who did we decide was the Premier League equivalent of Leipzig?
I don't think we did.
Was it
You
Liverpool?
threw forward like a combination of United currently and Liverpool like a few seasons ago, I think.
See, I kind of said United, Arsenal.
Yeah.
I did in the preview.
See, that's why I think Bernardo's going to play. He's not going to play against a team like that without Bernardo patrolling the midfield. That's why I think he'll play him at the left back and he'll play next to Rodri.
See, it's funny you say that, Mo, because I've said recently, some very strongly that some City fans disagree with that. I think Bernardo Silva is wasted in games where we dominate the ball and completely suffocate teams because I don't think he's good enough. My personal opinion, at breaking teams down. I think he's where he comes.
I agree with that.
Gundo's
the better pick there.
Yeah, where he comes in clutch is those big moments, big games where the game opens up a bit. But my point on that though is, I don't think the game will be open in the first half. I think the game will open up in the second half when they start to push. So for me, I think I'd start maybe a Gundogan. And then when the game opens up in the second half, then maybe bring on Bernardo Silva. But obviously, if the game is open from the first minute, then it's a bit of a rip, and you'd wish that you'd rather have Bernardo Silva. So.
I was only mentioning about the open because of the way they're playing in the Bundesliga. The scoring bags full. They're not at Bayern Munich level of scoring goals, but they score goals. And they come at you, and they've got pace. And that's what I'm just thinking. Maybe they will come in and sit back. But the key to it is if we get that early goal tomorrow, then Leipzig have to come then. That'll be the key. The sooner we get that goal tomorrow,
It'll
the better it'll be for us in the game, because
Yep.
Leipzig then have to score. They then have to come out.
And then you'd be hoping that, and then you'd be wishing that you got Bernardo Silva on the pitch. And that's why you think he might put. But I can see why. I see you thinking, Move. See what you've done, Move. You've shown you're working. You know what I mean? You know when you used to be in school and they're like, you show you're working out. Like we just fucking sent it. Give you the answer, and then the teacher's like, you're not showing you're working. Move's come in with research here, and I understand it. And it's one of them, though, isn't it? If he does that move and we end up getting beat, it's just another one of those fucking. Why have you done that? Well, you know what I mean? But he's a big manager and he makes big decisions. So we'll have to.
What you're saying about the sub, I don't think Pep does that sub. I know you're saying about start with Gundo, bring on Bernardo. That's not Pep.
No,
Pep doesn't sit there and go, right, well, I've done him for 45. Let me bring Bernardo. That's Pep's kind of person who goes, right, I'll go 80 minutes with Gundo and throw Bernardo in with 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And then you sit panicking, shitting yourself, going, what we doing?
He didn't make any subs, did he, Pep? In the first leg, didn't want to change things up. So whatever he thinks is best, he'll stick with, I think.
The big complaints, if you remember, because I think this same group got together, was no subs and did not find Haaland at all in that game. Remember, Haaland was visibly angry at the end of that game, and Pep had to calm him down. So,
let's just hope there's no like double handballs that don't get given as well. Pretty well. Yeah, it's a madness. It's going to be a mad game. I mean, none of us can really agree on a team lineup. It's very, very difficult, and that shows the difficulty that Pep Guardiola's got. You know, he's does he think about the game opening up, playing Bernardo Silva? Does he think about breaking the team down, playing Gundogan? Does he go for control, pause, or play Grealish and Mahrez? Does he want a little bit more, play maybe a Foden? Does he want a bit of chaos, play out Alvarez? Oh, these are all the things that Pep Guardiola is going to have to be dealing with. I'm not even spoke about the defense, so it's going to be a madness. Are we all confident we're going to get through? Is anyone seriously worried that we might go out here, or is everyone pretty confident that we're going to go through? I think we're going to do it. I think it'll be 2-0 City, to be honest. I think we'll keep a clean sheet again. Because again, I'm pretty confident in my defense. Maybe if he plays Bernardo at left back, that might be a little bit more worried. But I'm pretty confident that if he just plays a standard back four, I think we'll get a clean sheet and I think we'll go through. Anyone not so confident?
I'm confident. I did say in my preview that I've done today, though, I think it's going to be a really close game, and I can see Leipzig being very patient. The thing with Leipzig is they've got two kind of styles to their play. They can soak and absorb and can defend well. They can also attack and score goals as well. So this is going to be a very dangerous game for City if we don't control the game. And I wouldn't rule out this being so close that this could potentially hit extra time. And I did mention on my preview that if it's going to be that close, I would hope that the team have been working potentially. I don't want it to do this, but it could even be decided on penalties. So this is, I genuinely think this game's going to be a really close one.
I do. I think it'll be close. I mean, I've gone for a 2-0, but I'm not. I think it'll be a very, very close game.
I think we'll concede. I've gone for 3-1.
I'm pretty confident that we can shut them out, you know. I'm confident we can shut them out, Martin. I am.
I hope so, because I think that will give us even more confidence. It will be great. I just think at some point we might get, even if it's a set play, Gvardiol again, off a free kick or a corner or something. I just think we'll get caught out slightly, but I think we're going to have more than enough just to get us over the line. It'll be a nervy 3-1. I think we'll get through.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Lads, anything to add? Final words on the Leipzig game?
I'm thinking a JSKDB masterclass is what I'm saying. He didn't play. He didn't play recently, obviously against Palace until he came off the bench. And I think this is his game. I think he'll get a goal, mate. 2-0, I'm going to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hugh, thoughts on tomorrow's game, mate? Summarise.
I'm leaning towards what Martin suggests, is that the sooner we get that first goal and the game opens up, I think we can punish from there. I'm hoping they just really go for Champions League, make it our year and that kind of thing. I'm going to go with an audacious 3-0 City.
Woo! Woo!
I think we'll get a goal in the first half. I'll tell you, let me give you method to my madness. I think we'll get a goal in the first half. I think they'll come out in the second half and really go for it to try to get back into the game. And an efficient and clinical Manchester City will punish them for another 2.
Couple late goals, yeah. Who's scoring them though, Q? That's the main thing, mate.
Jack Grealish, all 3.
Luke said he's not even fucking playing.
He's off the bench, LB. He's come off the bench.
Whoever, man. A Kanji or Bernardo, someone. There's 3 coming.
Cavadio, 3 own goals.
Yeah, move.
Big Steve header at the back post.
Out the south stand.
Cheeseman bicycle. I back what Luke said. It all hinges on KDB. And I back him, and I back City 2-1. Haaland twice.
Martin.
Yeah, 3-1. I think KDB scores and Haaland 2.
Cool. All right. Big. And Jace.
I'm going to go 2-1 City. I can see City scoring first. I can see it being a little bit of a repeat of the first leg. Leipzig second half better. Find an equaliser, and I can see City sneaking it late on. Maybe a Foden off the bench or something would do me nicely.
Happy days. Okay. Before we wrap up, let's have a couple of look at some member chat, super chats that's come in. Sir Alan, yes, thank you for the donor. Whack that on screen before. Appreciate that, mate. Carl with a 9 says Gomez should start on the wing. Yes. Gomez, Jesus. That's a mad one. And Meteor Striker with an 8 says, I'd like to see Alvarez start and maybe see Perone get a few minutes because when he played, he linked up really well with the midfield to attack. Says Meteor Striker. I don't think that's a game that Pep Guardiola is going to throw in Perone. But I do like the look of Perone. Alvarez, obviously, Martin's giving his thoughts on Alvarez.
Definitely likes the look of Perone. LB.
Oh, fucking hell, mate.
Never seen a beer he didn't like.
Lenahan with a 6 months. Yes, bro. No message attached, but I appreciate the support. And Professional Pilot with the 5 says 3-1 City, Haaland hat trick, and Erison own goal. We could do with Erison not making any errors. There you go. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Before we wrap up, just quickly fire around the guys on the panel. Let them know where you're at and what content you've got coming up. Got planned. Jace, we'll start with you, mate.
You can go and check me out on YouTube. Just put JSGC into the search and I'll come up, or you can just go and click the link that's in the title. Done my preview. If you want to go check out my thoughts from that, going to have my live watch along tomorrow, along with a match review after the game, where hopefully, fingers crossed, we're heading to the quarterfinals and beyond.
Cool. Martin?
Yeah, back on post-match tomorrow. If Jay's prediction's right, it'll be about 1 a.m. in the morning. When we get that from the ground. Post-match tomorrow, and then Thursday night we'll be counting down to Burnley. We may have a former City defender on as well.
Oh,
Thursday night.
Ooh.
Stay tuned and go subscribe to Martin's channel. Links in the description. Mulv?
It's not company, by the way, if anyone's thinking.
I'm with Noisy Neighbours. We're a US-based podcast. I think we're doing the Leipzig review on 9320 this week. So fingers crossed we'll be on that. And then we'll have our own show coming out later in the week. Also do Thursday night live streams, mostly for the US-based watchers.
Cool. Cute.
Yep, day to 94. Content every day, previews, reviews, transfers, and all that. And thanks for having me on again.
Lads, he's actually made it this week. A round of applause for fucking Luke, who's not ill.
Cheers, guys. Yeah, I appreciate it. I've got a couple, few like vlogs and stuff going up. Just check them out, mate. It'll be good. Good atmosphere.
Check them out, mate. That's what he said there, guys. Check them out, mate. Go check them out. Guys, all the links are in the description and the title as well there. So just go subscribe. Get the lads up to their next targets. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the stream. We'll be back tomorrow, me and Jordan, for the main preview at 2 p.m. So make sure you join us. It's a massive, massive game. Let's see if City can make it into the hat for Friday, because that's the quarterfinal Champions League draw. It's going to be a madness. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. And people...